A players will go the extra mile, ongoing, like constantly going the extra mile. And if we are going the extra mile and we are not experiencing positive results from that, that starts to set us up for burnout. Or if we are constantly going the extra mile in multiple areas of our lives, which A players tend to do, we try to be super moms, super dads, super business owner, and then the burnout creeps in. You work hard in your business. What has your business done for you lately? Hi, I'm Dr. Sabrina Starling, the business psychologist, the author of the 4-Week Vacation and the How to Hire the Best series, as well as the founder of Tap the Potential, where we coach entrepreneurs like you to design sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. We believe work supports life, not the other way around. Weekly on the Profit by Design podcast, our team brings you tips, tools, and strategies to support you in making intentionally profitable and sustainable decisions to live the lifestyle you desire. Welcome to the podcast, Kristin. It's great to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So I want to introduce you to our listeners. This is Kristin Meyer, and I was introduced to Kristin via Adam McKee, who had heard Kristin on the Women Talk Construction podcast. And Adam told me, he said, you need to go listen to her. She's doing some really cool things in her business. And what really impressed Adam and impressed me is your focus on team and the way that you're building culture. So I want to share, Kristin, a little bit about your background, and then I'm going to give you the opportunity to share some of the things that you guys are doing that's unique and new and different. And then we're going to get into some coaching, because guess what? Kristin would like to take a 4-week vacation. And not only that, she co-owns the business with her husband, who also would like to take a 4-week vacation. And they'd like to go, no surprise, they'd like to go away together on this 4-week vacation. So this is a little different because, as you can imagine, one business owner taking a 4-week vacation is one thing, but when both the owners want to be away, that can be even more challenging. So that's what we're going to dig into today. So with no further ado, I want to share with you Kristin Meyer. She's the CEO and co-owner of Southern Crafted Shutters, an exterior shutter manufacturer and retailer out of the upstate of South Carolina. She's passionate about providing amazing service, whether it's helping develop her team, proactively communicating with her customers, or partnering with other business owners. She believes that culture is everything and strives to maintain a work environment where people have fun, get things done, and feel like family. The other cool thing that I learned about Kristin is she has gotten a life coaching certification. So she brings all that coaching into how she builds her team. So Kristin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. So you have, I think like most business owners, you got where you are by accident, not by a divine plan. Would you share a little bit about your journey to where you are now?
Oh, yeah. So I've had like more jobs than I think most people have over the course of my life. I go places where it's something that I like gives joy to me. So I end up doing a lot of part-time jobs too. Like I drove trolleys when I lived in Boston, for example, as a tour guide, but I have a lot of corporate experience. So I've had most recently, I had done 10 years with a multinational company and then a few years with another multinational company before being full-time in this. And people had always told me, you should be an entrepreneur. And I said, I'm never going to own my own business because I absolutely 100% want somebody else to be paying me all of the time. So I always laugh because like all through my life, people kept telling me this is what I was going to do. And I said no, and I denied it as often as I could. And then here we are. My husband and I how we got into this was that we had made a sliding door for a condo that I was living in. And another friend was like, hey, I just started a door business. I said, oh, do you want to work with my husband? Because he needs something to do. Well, he wasn't my husband at the time, but whatever. And he was like, well, I mean, I don't know. And then like 2 months later, he called me up. He said, were you serious? I said, yeah. He said, because I'm moving to Texas. I'd love for you to buy the business. So we moved into a house from the condo, put the business into the garage, started selling doors, making them out of our garage, went to a home show, hoped that we would sell 3, sold 25, had no idea like so our whole house became staining and sanding and whatnot. And at the next home show, we met another couple who did manufacturing of shutters, and they were similar to us in that the husband did a lot of the engineering parts and the wife did a lot of the sales parts. And so then 6 months later, they're like, would you like to purchase the shutter manufacturing business? And I told Adam, I said, if you want to leave your corporate job, because he was also working corporate, I said, this is it. Like, this is the sign from the universe. This is how we go. And we did. It was crazy. Like, it was definitely not planned. And looking back, there's like 100 million things I would have done differently, but here we are. It's been a cool adventure. And I like using my coaching, like you had mentioned, like with all of my team. And I'm on a bunch of other committees where I get to, in the community where I get to help do that too. So that's how I find my coaching joy.
Yeah, you're very active in your community. You volunteer. You want to talk a little bit about that too?
Sure. I'm on 3 different committees. So I'm on the Professional Women in Building, which is part of the HBA, the Home Builders Association here. I'm vice president. So next year I'll be president, which then will also get me in the HBA meetings. So I'm looking forward to what that does. That'll like open up a whole new thing. I'm also part of the Women Confidence Builders group. So I'm on their board. And so that's all about, it started as a mostly construction group, but it's all about having women meet other women who want to lift them up. And I think, I mean, it sounds weird, but when you talk to a lot of women, almost everybody is like, I would really love to meet other women who feel confident and who want to be doing stuff. And where there's a safe space to say, I'm not so confident in this. How did you get there? So that's that. And everybody's membership, if you do a business membership, it sponsors a student, which is another thing that I really love. So I love that because I'm also in part of the School Improvement Council with the Golden Strip Career Center. So it's around here. When I was growing up, there were vocational schools, but the career centers here, the students go for a half day to high school and then a half day to the career center, and they learn a trade. So anything from like culinary arts to building construction, which is where we have some team members from. And I feel like it's the secret that nobody knows about. So I'm one of the community members because we don't have kids or anything. So I'm one of the community members, and I am very passionate about telling the world about this program. So all 3 of them really kind of weave together, and they take up a lot of time, but it's fun.
Well, it's clear that you are someone who loves learning and growing yourself. And then you also love mentoring and coaching others. And you're finding multiple ways to really live that purpose in your life, which is awesome. So talk about some of the ways that your team is unique.
So we started everybody part-time. That was something that not a lot of people do, but it gave us an opportunity to meet people who probably traditionally wouldn't have come to work with us. So we have one is a student who is in his last year at Tech, and he worked with us full time. And we're so excited that when he gets out, like we're growing his position for him because he's been here for the longest. He's been here for 3 years. And that's just like, I love it. Like I picture him here forever. I don't know if he does, but right now he does. Who knows what happens? So that's really cool. And then another one of our students had started at the Golden Strip. So he started as a work-based learning student. So he came to us when he was a junior in high school. So he worked 2 years while he was in high school doing that afternoon program. So they have an opportunity at the Career Center to do work-based learning where they get credit and paid and learn how to have a job. So he started there, and now he's at the tech school. So he's in his first year of college, and he still is working with us, which is it's just really cool to watch the development. And then we have 2 other work-based learning students who are both juniors who are working with us. And so we hope that they're going to stay in the same way. And then we have 2 women who are, right now they're in the back office. Amanda kind of goes back and forth, and Mary's been doing our social, but they're both moms. And so when they first came, they needed a really flexible schedule. And so we've been trying to do, work with it, whatever the hours are that can work as long as it fills. So we're fortunate, right? We can work around a crazy schedule that people have, but it allows us to offer an employment for somebody who might not have been able to easily find something, and to really get, I think, top talent. Like we have a great team. Like I love our team so much, and they have fun together. And if you watch like our Instagram and stuff, you will see, my mother asked me, she goes, do you have to force them to do the dances and stuff? I go, oh no, Ma, I got to hold them back.
So your Instagram is all real. Nothing is forced.
Oh, the only person who might be forced is Adam. But other than that, like everybody else is fully involved.
So I want to acknowledge like the construction industry has some of the greatest hiring challenges out of all the industries. And when I wrote How to Hire the Best, the contractors edition to help those in the construction industry hire, I talked about some of these non-traditional ways to build a team. And I love how you have high school students and people who are building their skills. And you have found a way to not just give them a job, but you're creating a career path. You're creating opportunities for them to grow in their roles, and you're providing the flexibility. And our team is all part-time. And I agree with you, Kristin. This is how we attract A players, because A players value flexibility. And when we have A players, we can trust them with the flexibility. I get a lot of questions, and I'm curious if you do too. I get a lot of questions about, because our team is all virtual. People say, well, how do you know they're doing their job? They're part-time, they're flexible, they can have their own business while they work for you. Like, are you sure they're really working, Dr. Sabrina? What's your answer to that, Kristin?
So Mary actually came to us in December and said her husband's schedule changed and her kids are now doing homeschool. And so she said, I can't keep the hours the same that we had agreed. And we said, since she's doing a lot of social, I said, well, would you consider doing, some work from home and just giving me the hours? And so she's been doing that for 2 months, and it's been great. Like, listen, if you have great people and you don't trust them, then you don't have great people. I don't know how else to describe that, right? Like, and if there is a challenge or if there is a concern, we bring it up. Like, this is where I'm bothered, or this doesn't seem to jive. Can you help me understand what's happening? And like, I had asked Mary, I was like, what time are you doing these things? Because I don't want to go on Instagram when you're on Instagram, for example. But if I need to like fill in, what are the days or what are the hours? And I think it's just about open communication and finding out what people are doing and still being just, I don't know, flexible. I mean, you can do so many things from home. Most of our stuff we can't do from home because it's physically working. Hers is the one job that can be from home. And so we got an iPad so she can take it home and does the stuff on it. And then when she comes in, so she usually comes in one day a week, and we'll record things and we'll talk about the plan. So I don't know. It didn't occur to me that I'm not ready for that question. She was the first person who we had virtual. So, and it's been working great. So, and I used to work virtually, right? Like, that was my job, was always, I had 10 years in sales for another company and I worked out of my house. So it just never occurred to me that, I mean, I guess that could be a fear, but when you have people, I know that I worked and I feel like I was an A player. So I feel like when you have somebody, when you know their work ethic, if you're concerned about their work ethic, then there's probably a deeper concern there versus whether or not they're doing their stuff.
Right. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I find is that when team members have flexibility and we work with them around their needs and really create an environment where work supports life, it creates loyalty. And I think it brings greater engagement because they're so appreciative of that. And one of the things that I've found that just works hands down across the board, and it's exactly what you said. You've got to hire people who have the right work ethic. So your immutable laws, your core values, people who reflect that. And then if you give them clear results that they're expected to deliver, we aren't measuring number of hours to get those results. And I tell them, if you can get this result in fewer hours, you absolutely should. Because then you're, number one, it frees them up to be able to focus on higher value activities for the company. And so I'm like, wow. But it also, I don't want to take all that time back from them. I want to reward them for the efficiency. So sometimes we're not able because we have to stay profitable. Sometimes we can't do these big pay raises. But if they can get their work done in fewer hours and get paid the same, that's awesome. And then sometimes we increase results. Like, okay, we need more sales or we need more social media engagement. And they're getting more and more efficient. And that, I think, is what it's all about. That's what we should all be doing as we grow and develop. When we learn something, we get better and we get more efficient at it. And it doesn't take as much time and effort to accomplish it. So you're doing some other cool things. You have your team adopting customers and sending videos. What is this? Tell me about this.
So when we had done the doors, we would take a picture of like the door in process and send it to customers. So when we started doing shutters, I was like, it's not quite as exciting because like the doors were super custom. I said, but I bet people still would appreciate it. So we started by taking a picture of the assembled shutter before it got painted and emailing it to the customers. And people responded really well to it. And I'm constantly trying to figure out ways that we can delight more, right? And so I said, what if we did a video of the whole thing, like from the beginning to the end? And I will say one of the reasons is because of our, like what we want for our customers. But one of it for me is also for my team, because I know So Amanda's on the phones. And so she's the person who talks to all the customers, but it doesn't mean that she's the one who's providing everything to them, right? Like, so I've got all of the folks who are on the floor. I want everybody to feel like they have a part of the customer experience. So I said, so you all are going to also be doing videos. And so what they do is we have like a 6 to 8 week script. And so the first week they introduce themselves. The second week they give because we're not starting their shutters for at least 3 weeks from the order. So I was like, we got to come up with something. So the second week they give a tour of the whole shop. So people get to see what the shop looks like. The third week they show them like all of their drawings, because at that point their drawings will have been made. And then the fourth week them cutting. And then the fifth, like what it looks like. And then the sixth, what it's done. And so every week our customers get a video from a specific team member. And then on the back end, we have it so that every time they get a Google review, if it was their customer, their name goes into a hat, and quarterly we pick out of the hat to do a $25 gift card to a restaurant, just for like a little fun incentive and reward. And I was like, if you want to ask them for a review and you can ask them for a review. So sometimes they ask them for a review, and it's really cool because so like John is one of our, does the painting, he does the installs. And so he'll help Adam sometimes. So he went and somebody goes, I know you from the videos. And he said it was so cool because they're like, I love getting your video every week. So like he got to actually meet the customer. And so it was really cool when they tell us how much they love the videos. One person, we had our trade show, she came running up to one of my team members who just happened to be there that day. She's like, can I give you a hug? And she named her name. She's no longer here. She had gone off to explore her best life, traveling the world, but she gave her a hug. And she's like, because I feel like I know you, like, I'm so happy for these videos. So like I thought it would be like this, and it became huge. Like it's so much bigger than I could have expected. And obviously in the construction industry, when people are used to working with contractors, one of the things that we hear often is that they don't know when anything is going to be ready, and nobody communicates proactively. So our QBR, our Queen Bee rule, is unparalleled service through proactive communication. So for us, this is how we can bring something really special to an industry that people aren't used to. And so one person was like, I told my husband he needs to step up his game in his small business and communicate like y'all.
Yes.
I said, that's right.
Communication matters. And I love that you have identified that. That's how you're going to stand out, how you're going to be unique. And you've got everybody in the company elevating that role and saying, we're all here to support this. Okay, so let's get down to business here in coaching, because you have a challenge. How long have you guys owned this business?
5 years.
5 years. What's the longest time you've been able to be away fully unplugged?
I left for 2 weeks in 2022. I got to go to Africa with my dad.
That is so cool. I bet that felt amazing to unplug and just have an experience.
I was a little nervous, and we learned a lot. But it was just so cool to find, like, I didn't think that it would be able to happen. And my husband's like, go for it. I mean, like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yes. So
Will.
What is the longest that you and your husband together have been able to be away from the business fully unplugged?
We've gone away for long weekends. So 2 days and then 2 weekend days.
Okay. And how many years in business? 5.
Yes. But we've done it a number of times.
A few days here and there, a number of times. So you guys are a little unusual in that way. So I want to acknowledge you. So I shouldn't say a fun fact. It's a sad fact. You've taken our Better Business, Better Life assessment. We have, I think, over 500 or 600 entrepreneurs that have taken it at this point. We've analyzed the data on about 230 of them. And the average length in business is 12 years. And when we ask the question, what's the longest you've been able to be away from your business fully unplugged? The most frequent response to that question is 0 days.
In 12 years?
So in 12 years. So Kristin, I know that you're feeling like, hey, we need some vacation together, but I want to acknowledge you. You guys are actually, you're going in the right direction with this. You've been able to be away a few days unplugged multiple times together. So you have an opportunity coming up where both of you are going to be away. Talk a little bit about that.
So we're going to the International Builder Show in Vegas it's a 3-day program. So we're leaving on Monday and coming back on Friday, but we'll be gone. And we won't be in a place where we can I want to be fully engaged in the building show, right? So we're going to be on a different time zone, first of all. And then second, we're going to be in education things. So we won't be easily accessible. Even if we wanted to be accessible, we wouldn't be as accessible. We don't want to be. And I actually do believe that the team is really excited. I've been talking about a 4-week vacation for a long time. So they know about it and they know where it comes from. Like they know it's about getting the business to run, that it's not just, I mean, they also know that I love vacation. So obviously if I could go on vacation, I would, but it's about getting them up to par. And I think they're pretty excited about showing us what they can, like on our last long weekend, when we got back, I asked how it went and John goes, "It went well. I really did not want to call you because I had this one question, but we figured it out." And I like, so I know that they're like at the place where they want to prove it to us, but it'll be when we won't be anywhere local. Like we can't come back if something goes wrong.
Yes, you cannot physically help.
Our 2 days are usually like an hour away. So it's like if something, like if that place burned down, we can't get back if the place burns down. So I have excitement and a little bit of anxiety, right, going into this.
Understandably so. And I will say, after being at several conferences recently, my other experience has been that the Wi-Fi in these conference locations is awful. So even if you wanted to connect with your team, it's really challenging. Okay, so let's talk about this. You took our Better Business, Better Life assessment and you asked me, you said, "I have a burnout score of 4, Dr. Sabrina. What does that mean? Is that good, bad? Am I in trouble?" And so for those of you listening, I encourage you at least once a year, but probably more frequently, at least maybe twice a year, take the Better Business, Better Life assessment because it's an opportunity for you to check in on where you are with respect to burnout. Burnout is sneaky. It creeps up on us and we're like the frog in the boiling pot of water where all of a sudden we're going along okay, but then our energy level is just a little low and maybe we don't feel like going in on Monday. And then maybe we don't feel like going in on Wednesday and Friday and Monday again. And all of a sudden we're in burnout and it snuck up on us. And what I know about A players, and I think A players, most business owners are A players, by the way. And if you're hiring A players, you probably have a team of A players. A players will go the extra mile, ongoing, like constantly going the extra mile. And if we are going the extra mile and we are not experiencing positive results from that, that starts to set us up for burnout. Or if we are constantly going the extra mile in multiple areas of our lives, which A players tend to do. We try to be super moms, super dads, super business owner. And then the burnout creeps in. So to take the Better Business, Better Life assessment and just check in with yourself and see where you are with burnout, go to tapthepotential.com/assessment. So Kristin has a score of 4, which anything above 3 is kind of like a, hey, pay attention here. There's some warning signs going on. It's not severe burnout. 10, 11, 12, that's where we go, oh my gosh. But it's also here's the thing about getting to the point of having scores around 10 or 11 or 12. One of the things about burnout is that our businesses need to be healthy to keep us from burning out. And when we have scores that are 10, 11, 12, it means our businesses are not healthy. They're very dependent. They're overly dependent on us. And we're at that point where we don't have the energy to affect major change in the business at that point because we're so burnt out. So it's much better to catch it at these lower scores and say, oh, good, I've got the energy. I can do something about it. And I really believe in the small steps forward taken in a consistent direction lead to big change over time. So simple things like putting some boundaries in place on a daily basis in the business can support us in reducing our burnout score. So having a set time that you leave work every day and saying, regardless of where things are, I'm done, I'm walking out, I'm turning my phone off, and I'm home and I'm fully present. And when you own a business with your spouse, like that is so hard because you're probably talking about business at the dinner table. Are you?
Yeah, we talk about business a little. We've gotten better and we do leave at 5 now. Like we've made improvements and we don't do business. Like when we started, we would answer the phone on the weekends or answer emails on the weekends. And now we don't do any official, well, for the most part, like unless somebody they were doing an install this weekend, for example, and they're like, I need somebody to tell me what I'm doing. So we will help if we can for something like that. But in general, we have much better boundaries than we did, except for our conversation. It's hard to go for a walk and then not be like, oh, I was just thinking about, that's because it's shutting off the mind, right? Like I cannot do, but it's hard for me not, because I want to always, like, I like to improve things. It's just like for all my committees, it's not that unlikely that I'm going to be thinking about how I can improve that. So yes, our therapist tells us we need to stop talking about the business.
Yes, and I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with your therapist. I would recommend that you probably have your phone with you on that walk. Just make a little note, and you guys have your set time when you talk about on the business and big ideas, just like you would with any other team member, because you're hopefully not calling your team members at 7:00 in the evening and saying, I just had this really good idea. Right? They won't be with you very long.
No.
So don't do that to your husband. And that will allow you guys to have time away from the business. And one of the most important things you guys can be doing is creating a big life together away from the business, things that you enjoy, things that you're passionate about, problems that you want to solve together that have nothing to do with the business. Because one of the things about A players is we're creative, we're energetic, we love learning, we love ideas. And so if you have something else besides the business that you want to be creative and passionate about together, you'll be talking about those things and not the business. So it's all about creating this bigger life away from the business. If you're listening to this and you're recognizing that you're that frog in the boiling pot of water where you're working harder and harder and you're setting yourself up for burnout, where the business is overly dependent on you and you're not able to get away from the business, and you, like Kristin, want to be able to take more time away from your business, fully unplugged, maybe even eventually a 4-week vacation fully unplugged, I invite you to book a call with us. Let us help you diagnose what's going on in your business that's making it so dependent on you. What key systems do you need to put in place? What are your $10,000 an hour activities that will set you up for success, where you have a business that is sustainably profitable and gives you more time for what matters most, including long, fully unplugged vacations, maybe even a 4-week vacation. So book a call. Let us help you. But let's get back to the bigger issue, which is how on earth can the two of you get to the point where both of you can be gone for 4 weeks at a time and fully unplug from this business? Okay, so as you guys get ready to go away to the Builders Show, pay attention to all the things you have to put in place for each of you to be away. Document those things and delegate them to your team members. And then when you get back, check in with the team, see how those things went. Don't take anything back that you delegated. That's it right there.
As like the zinger, right?
Yes, that is the key. And I'll tell a little personal story about myself on this. When I had my second daughter, I took a 9-week maternity leave, and I remember being on the phone with my coach a couple weeks before I was supposed to go back, and I was bawling. And I said, I don't want to go back. I'm so happy being with my daughter. And my coach was just kind of like in this commiserate session with me. She's like, I know it hurts so much and you're going to miss her. She was a great commiserator, but it was basically, you got to suck it up, buttercup, because you got to go back. And what I missed and what she missed at the time is that I had delegated service delivery in the business. Our clients were being taken care of. And I was under the assumption that they must have missed me and they must feel so desperate for me to come back. And I just operated on that assumption and I took it all back. And it was a couple of years later until the light bulb went off and I thought, oh my gosh, I was so far down that path and then I just undid everything. So don't take it back. And the other reason you don't want to take things back is it sends a message to your team members that you don't really think they're capable. They can handle it for a week, but they can't do it long term.
The service was the hardest for me, like not being the customer service and salesperson. Like I don't do it now. And that was the hardest for me because I was like, they're not going to do it the way I do it. And nobody can do it the way I do it. But it actually works much better when I'm not doing it, because I then can help answer questions when something comes up, or I can go answer, right? Like I'm free to move about the place. I have to tell Adam he can't take things back. He's the engineer. So he he holds it. I will say one of my biggest fears, and I don't know if you have ideas for this one. So most of the things, whatever, like we could figure out how to get back. I can get a bookkeeper to do my bookkeeping if I needed to, instead of me like, I know what I could do. It's just not so complicated right now that I need it. So it's hard for me to get rid of it. But one is our machines. Adam's really good at fixing things that go down. So, and they're expensive machines. So when we first started here, one of the machines went down, and to get somebody to help us, it was like $1,300. They didn't even end up fixing it. Like he called Italy to try to do it. And so I don't know how to delegate that. Like, how do you allow somebody to have if you mess it up, it could put us completely down, and it could be like a 50,000, 100,000. If you mess up the machine, it could be like $100,000 problem. And while we do save money, not that much yet. So how do you, that's the one place that I can't see. Like I can see the others. I haven't done all the others, or we haven't done the others, but I can visualize some of them. How do you do something like that?
So yes, I do. And here's what I encourage you and every business owner to be thinking about is the end in mind. So at some point, you're going to want to sell the business. And if there are critical functions in the business, especially if they're expensive functions that rely and it can only be executed by your husband, and that if he's not doing it, it undermines the profitability of the business, your business is a lot less desirable as a business for sale. The value of it is less desirable. So this isn't just about you guys need some time away so that you don't get burned out and you reduce your burnout scores, which that is the current need. And absolutely, you do need that. But this is also about, let's think about the future, because you may want to sell. You may say right now, I wouldn't want to sell the business, but we don't know what's going to happen in our lives where for whatever reason we couldn't run the business, and it may make sense to be able to sell it, or we may want to own it and not have to be in it day to day because we have something else going on in our lives that's really important that we need to attend to. So the first piece is anytime he's working on equipment, he needs to have at least one team member with him learning what he's doing and talk it out loud. You can't just be fiddling and saying, oh, yeah, did that, it's done. But talking through the process. Better yet is having that team member who's observing taking video and documenting what is being done. And that's how you create a learning database around the equipment. So, and there's probably certain issues that are more likely to happen than others, or that happen more frequently. So those get videoed and documented. And then the team member who's learning should be the one who writes up the steps that were observed in the video. And your husband doesn't write it up. He just reviews it and he says, yep, that's what I did. And so that's how you start to build that database. Now, here's the thing. We're never going to be able to anticipate every problem that's going to happen. In the business. I have had some of the craziest stuff go down when I'm gone. Like, where did that come from? So we need to give our team members resources and help them figure out problems. So one of the best things we can do is to hire team members who hold our same core values, our immutable laws, because if they are frugal, for example, or, aware of profit first in the business and aware like, oh my gosh, we can't spend a lot of money, they're going to go to the learning database first to figure out if they can solve the problem. And then if it's beyond them, then they may call someone, but they may not have the repair person come out and pay thousands of dollars. They may say, I think if you could give me a couple pointers, I could figure this out on my own. Could I pay you for that versus having you come out? So you teach them some ways and some steps that your husband would take. What would he do if he were stumped?
YouTube.
There you go.
He's the worst and the best, right? Because he can do it.
Yeah. So for your team members, you probably have some that they love to fix things. They love to tinker. Those are the ones who probably have the aptitude for this and would be excited to learn some new skills that are marketable skills that are valuable for them to learn.
We do have John. I told Adam anytime he does any work, he has to have John next to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tell him Dr. Sabrina said so too. And you have to do it more.
More and on video and write it up. Because what happens if you guys are gone and John is sick? There's not a database. Somebody else can't step in and do it. So the more redundancy that you can put in place in the business, the better. And we business owners, are so bad because we'll say, it's just faster if I get in there and do it myself. But if I have to go find a team member, take him off of what he's working on and say, come over here and watch this. Now everything is slowed down. Yes, it slows it down in the moment, but it speeds it up in the future. Like you and I were observing as we were coming on the podcast, Melissa Swire's name was at the top of the video. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm not Melissa. I need to fix that. That's because I was gone for a couple of weeks and Melissa ran the podcast and she had to learn how to do that. I didn't teach her that. She got in and kind of figured it out. I gave her a template to follow and lo and behold, she produced a podcast without me and she did a great job. Our team members are capable. And when we give them the opportunity to step up, like you've observed, you said this yourself, they step up and we need to get out of the way. So you looked really, you said it was a zinger when I said you can't take it back. What is it? What went through your mind around, I can't take it back?
For me, it was mostly Adam telling him that he can't take things back. So I feel that I have done a decent job of, if it was a year ago, I would not have been in the same place. But after I delegated the social media first and then the phones and customer service, like now I'm much more confident in the things. But there's a couple of things that I actually like doing. Like I like being involved in the schedule. I know that in the $10,000 jobs, like it's closer to the 10, but it gives me joy to be able to do it. And it helps me understand where the things are. So I've been training Amanda to do it so that while we're gone, it can happen. But part of it is I've tried giving it away a couple times and I keep getting involved. So I know that that's like, someday I'm going to have to, I've stepped back a little bit. So she does the Monday board, right? So like, this is what we're going to do by the end of Monday, but I still get involved in the day-to-day because part of it is just my control freak. And part of it is I like it. And part of it is I can't teach how I think about where the parts shift. So I've been trying to do that. And then the other part of the zinger is Adam giving up things. He's a little bit more particular about how certain things, he's an engineer. So like, how certain things have to happen. He also has gotten really good. Like he's actually admitted that John now paints better than him, which it took a year, but he now admits that. But stuff, the higher task, I don't know, such as fixing things or such, like if he's here, I can't imagine him saying, go ahead and do it. He and I struggle, right?
It is. You guys have, and we all have this, we have ways of doing things that we've done for years. And so we're learning new skills as leaders. And I think one of the important things that we can pay attention to is, are we making choices out of fear or out of love? So when we hold on to something for control, that's fear. When we say to a team member, I know this, you might struggle to figure this out, but I believe in you, you're going to figure it out. That's love. And I get curious when you say, like, you can't keep yourself out of the scheduling because you love doing it. I get curious, like, Kristin, if you had to choose between coaching somebody to be better at something that they really are passionate about and want to do, or work on the schedule, what would you pick?
Don't do that to me. Obviously I'd pick coaching, but I don't always get to coach.
Yes. All right. So I used to do the bookkeeping at Tap the Potential. I kind of liked it. I like to see where the money is. But if I had to pick between being here on the podcast with you and doing some coaching here or bookkeeping, I pick this every moment of every day. Bookkeeping would never get done.
Yes. No, if I could do the things that like in the community, if I could be connecting people, if I could be doing those things, I would prefer that if I knew that the schedule was going. I do have this weird attraction to scheduling and like the logistical. I just like it. Like
it's like a Tetris game, isn't it?
Yeah. Like it's this Tetris game that you're like fitting everything in. And then when it works, I'm like, I totally did that. So like,
yeah,
I'm not being untrue that I like it, but is it the thing that I would like to do for the rest of my life? No. And is it the thing that I would like to do most of the time? No. But if I can, get in there and.
It's not your greatest gift to contribute in this world.
It's not my greatest. It's a good gift, though. I will tell you, there are people who can't do it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a very necessary thing, particularly in you guys' business. So you're making decisions as you are scheduling. And when you talk those decision points out loud, you'll realize you have a system in your head. You wouldn't be as effective and efficient with it if you didn't have an internalized system.
So I need to speak it out loud as well. Just like
You need to speak it out loud.
Adam has to speak his out loud fixing something, I have to speak out loud my why I'm scheduling more often.
Yeah. When I started my coaching company and I was working with Mike McAllowitz and Donna Lyons, Donna is the founder of the Pumpkin Plan Your Biz. Mike wrote the book, The Pumpkin Plan. And I was convinced I had no system for how I coached business owners to hire A players. And both of them were like, but you're successful. Like they get results, right? I'm like, yeah, they do. They hire A players. And they're like, I don't believe you that you don't have a system. Like you can't do that if you don't have a system in your head. And they made me talk it through. And I realized, oh yeah, there's steps and there's this. And that's how I came to start writing the book is there were patterns. You have patterns. If you do something well, you have an internalized system that you're using. So here's the challenge I'm going to give you guys. You're delegating things. Don't take them back when you come back.
I wrote that down. Don't take it back.
And then you need to schedule your next time that you will be away from the office, and it needs to be longer. So this is a week that a week that you guys are going to be gone. So the next time needs to be at least 10 days, and it should happen within the next 3 to 6 months. You're going to go through the same process. You're going to look at, okay, if we're going to be gone for 10 days, what needs to be delegated? You're going to delegate those things, create systems around them. You're going to go away. You're going to look at how things went. You're not going to take anything back. Even if there were failures, missteps, it's an opportunity to debrief with your team and say, well, what did we learn here? How can we be better in the future? And then you're going to go for 2 weeks, and you're going to do that within 3 months or so. And then if you can go for 3 weeks, you can do 4. So you're going to do 4, and you're going to go through that same process, and you're just intentionally building up the length of time that you guys are able to be away from the business at the same time. What's going through your head? What's your reaction to all this?
It sounds like an amazing dream, and I always go to finances, right? Like, so what happened? Like, where are we going to be at that point? Are we going to be able to afford a team to be there the whole time and we don't have to jump back in? And I mean, like, because in all transparency, last year was our first profitable year. So it took a while to get there, but this month we are negative. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, was that like a lie? Like, so it's the roller coaster of small business ownership, right? Like I know, and because we are profitable, we saved. So as I pulled from my savings today and I said to Adam, I have to say it out loud just so I can know for myself. The reason that I have the savings is to use it in moments like this. It does that, like, right. So saying that out loud, but like we cut pay, like the students aren't working this week. So we said, y'all are going to have to stay. And I've asked everybody to cut back some hours this week because I know it's going to pick up, but I don't want to get so far that we're just catching up. So seeing, which also means that if something happens, we step in. Right. And so it's that fallback of, well, at least we can. And so that's what I guess that for like the 3 weeks, like what if we get there and I can't do it because what if our business isn't doing as well as it was, or
which is that's a legitimate question. It's the experience of most business owners, and it's our greatest fear. And you said, we were profitable and now we're not. Now we're negative. So was that even real? And yes, this is real life business. This is how it goes. You all have profit first in place, right? You're doing that. Okay. So when we coach,
that's why we have savings.
Yes, good. So when we coach our clients at Tap the Potential and we take them through the Tap the Potential solution, the first step is design the business to be sustainably profitable. And the key word in that is sustainably, because it feels awful to have a profitable year and then a slide back, because it's like, whoa, what's going on? And so you are paying attention because you have profit first in place and you're feeling the pain of being negative with cash flow. It got your attention. And so now you're saying, well, what are we going to do about it? And you're starting to put some measures in place to help you guys get out of this position of being negative. And you're doing it quickly. That's what you got to do. And then look at, well, what caused this situation? How did we get here? And we don't have time here to dig into all of that, but to really look at what were the early signals 3 months ago that were saying, hey, pay attention because 3 months from now, you're going to have a cash flow problem. And try to figure out what those were and what can you do to mitigate that. And we didn't get into this during your coaching, but a big piece of you being able to be away for 4 weeks at a time is to have key performance indicators in the business. And they need to be predictive indicators because they will predict a cash flow problem. And delegating those key performance indicators to team members and teaching them what they mean. So if it's a lead generation issue, or if it's a sales conversion issue, or if it's a supply chain issue, all of those would be key performance indicators that you have that predict if things are going to go well in the future or if they're going to go poorly. And you catch those and make adjustments. So this whole process, every time you say, but what about this? What about that? What you're really seeing is there's some ways we can make this business stronger. But we got to figure this out. And believe me, we've been through some hard times at Tap the Potential. And when I was in the midst of them, they felt terrible. But today, things are a little zen, not totally zen, but a little zen. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And I can see that it's because of all the small micro adjustments that we made along the way, whenever we went negative or whenever we had a few bad months. And we always took that perspective of what can we learn from this? What changes can we make today that will help us be better in the future? What you're feeling right now is, okay, this hurts. I take money out of our savings to cover payroll and do all the things. And it's a learning opportunity. So what key performance indicators that can you identify that would have said a few months ago, hey, there's a problem coming? And then what can you all, and it's not just Kristin who has to figure this out. This can be a team discussion. And that's part of educating your team to think like a business owner, because you need them to think like business owners for you guys to be able to be away. So what's coming up as we talk through all of this?
That's good. So our profit first, because we were profitable and I'm a saver, I had so we have a bank loan for the business, right? So I have 3 months of the bank loan in a savings because I was like, I will never default. So I need 3 full months, right? So it is business savings, specifically in the area. So I'm glad, I feel proud of that. We have enough, because at the home, I have the emergency, rainy day funds, right? And so we've created
an emergency fund.
That's what we have for the business, which is what we're using. And we have we have a weird cyclical business, right? It's not service. It's people aren't putting shutters on their house as often in January as they are in March. I'm trying to think of what so my husband and I were actually talking about key performance indicators earlier and about what we wanted them to be. And so he's thinking, because he's engineer, right? So it's first time quality, is the first time quality coming through? Because that gives us, and I can see where he's coming from, but I'm trying to think of the business indicators that are on the other side with leading indicators versus lagging indicators and all of that. And so I've been trying to, so really when you said it's not just Kristin, I'm like, I don't know how it could not just be Kristin doing that. So I'm trying to think in my head, how can I involve the team to try to, especially a very young team who has very little experience, which I want them to, we do so many team things for them to grow and to present and all of this kind of stuff. I'm just trying to think of how can I involve them?
It's you guys identifying what are those key predictive indicators. That might be hard for them to identify, but then you teach them how to use those key predictive indicators. That's the piece. And with the business being cyclical, there's a way with profit first, and this is more of an advanced profit first technique where you can plan for that and budget for that with your allocations. So it's a drip fund. And so when you have the huge months where there's lots of sales going on and it's like, oh my gosh, we're rich.
We are not rich.
And then, a few months later, you're like, oh my gosh, we're so poor. Where's the money going to come from? So you use a drip account to help even that out and even the cash flow through the business. But Kristin, all of that being said, I have to acknowledge the fact that you have savings to cover the loan payments for 3 months, and that's not even your profit account. And you're dipping into that little savings account to manage this. your business is so strong because of that. You guys have done a lot of good things. And that says to me, if you're able to do that, you are able to take these next steps that feel really big and challenging, but it's really the small steps because you got that savings built up through small steps every allocation period. So it's the same mentality.
I like that. I can think with that mentality because I can save in small functions to get places. I just need to think of 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It's just
So by the end of this year, what's the longest that you think you guys could be away?
Well, according to your little calendar, that's going to be a full 2 weeks. I don't even know what we're going to, like how we're going to, well, we can renovate our house. We have a lot of house. We bought a fixer-upper.
You don't have to go anywhere. Just can't talk about the business.
We can do stuff at home. Yes. And then it's going to be challenging to physically not come to the shop. That's why I like going away, right? Because if you're away, you can't. But yeah, two weeks is what it's going to have to. If we go on that calendar, so we've got 1 week in the end of February, within 3 to 6 months after that, that means that by September, we'll have to have taken 10 days. And then by the end of the year, we have to have 2 full weeks gone.
So I want you to let me know at the end of the year how much time you've taken off. So there's some accountability. Good coaching always has accountability, and I will put it in my phone. I'll reach out to you.
No. You're going to actually remember. Shoot.
Yes, I am. And we might even do a little update here on the podcast where you get to come back and report. That really would tighten the accountability for you.
Now I definitely have to do it. I have to. So I'm very competitive, not with many people, but like with myself. If I say I'm doing something, that's how come I do like all of my workouts. I post it on Facebook so that like somebody can be like, oh, I didn't see your workout today. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. I want to give you an opportunity. You have a giveaway for our listeners, and I want to give you that opportunity to share that.
Oh, thank you. So anybody who, if you purchase shutters, you'll need hardware that goes with it because all of our shutters have hardware, and we'll do a 25% off your hardware that goes with the shutters that you get if you mention that you heard us on Dr. Sabrina. Tap the Potential. Sorry.
Yes, on the Profit by Design podcast. Well, thank you, Kristin.
Here.
Thank you, Kristin. And I really do look forward to hearing from you about the time that you guys took off and the impact that it had on you and the success. And we'll do an update on the podcast.
Okay. Now my feet are to the fire. Thank you. This has been so much fun. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. What a fun episode that was. I loved coaching Kristin. I love her energy, and it just makes me excited to help business owners see a path forward, and you have more freedom in your business to be away than you realize. So I want to share with you, Kristin emailed me the next day, and she had some exciting updates to share. She shared the information with her team. Her team had more ideas and even better ideas for how to support them in being able to take this 4-week vacation. So that in and of itself is a huge win, right? Kristin's email said, "Thank you, Dr. Sabrina. I had so much fun yesterday. I immediately went out and told Adam, we need to take 2 weeks off before the end of the year because Dr. Sabrina said she's going to do a follow-up, and you know me, I have to get a gold star." And he said he's down. So yay. And Kristin has gone on and made the 4-week vacation pledge. She's filled out the form on our website at tapthepotential.com/pledge. And she is going to take her 4-week vacation by the end of next year. So I can't wait to hear from Kristin with future updates about their vacation testing and how their 4-week vacation goes. And we'll definitely bring Kristin back on the podcast to share these updates. So thank you so much for listening. And remember, if you want our help at Tap the Potential to free yourself up from the business, to be able to take some unplugged vacation and eventually work towards that fully unplugged 4-week vacation, just book a call with us. Head on over to tapthepotential.com. We'd love to talk with you. Thank you for tuning in today. Join our team and your fellow entrepreneurs in our Tap the Potential Mighty Networks community at tapthepotential.com/group. Share your aha moments from today's episode. Ask us questions and join in on the fun. Finally, share today's episode with a friend if you know a friend who would enjoy it. Profit by Design is in the top 5% of podcasts globally because listeners like you share with friends. Thank you. This is real life business. Keep your chin up, keep moving forward. You got this.